Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Original Answers 4, and basically talk about mobile phones. And I'm sure anybody will probably say that if you're going to be classmates with anyone, or if you're going to be talking about anything in particular, such as for anything about your original answers, and if it's going to be the Creative Cloud, Adobe Creative Cloud, or maybe agreeing about how much it is for basically like in math class. And let's just say that if you would have met this person, and maybe if you were in math class with them, or maybe on a job somewhere with them or something like that. But I mainly want to talk about for mobile phones. And if anybody warns us toward that, that with mobile phones, that with any kind of mobile phone that you're going to be working with right here, that this mobile phone, and for anything about what you call for your original answers for, and about talk about for a mobile amp or something like that, but you see right here, talk about for share and as well as for love and internship and then the Adobe Creative Cloud, and you have right here of talking about for answers for multiple choice questions right here, and I include right here is for what would you discover, and I talk about from 3 up talking about is to where anything that is related to design work. And so let's just say that I'll go ahead and pull that up, but you're using the Photoshop work right here. But you have right here is an example right here of a mobile phone, if we can see this right here, and talk about which called stores. And I have right here is like to where this right here was supposed to be like some Photoshop right here of a phone design right here. So if anybody were to say is to where that any source of artwork in particular that they were interested in it, that they would maybe like to have it saved on a file, on an electronic file, and have it available for like a screensaver, like on a phone or maybe on a tablet or any other source of device like that. With most of these designs right here, we can see this. I added in using the Photoshop. I went ahead and combined these two sketches right here, from a line paper, and then whenever I scanned them and then saved them onto a file, and then did some Photoshop work with those. That I did some color adjustments, and as well as anything adjusted the brightness, and then I included right here for between store and calls and unlimited. And so whenever you're going to be first introduced to a phone plan, that the first thing that they may tell you is to where that unlimited access, unlimited minutes, tall text and data, and then search up to 3G or 4G connection to the web browser or something like that. And so you're going to have this something like a design right here, and let's just say that if you're going to be working the puzzle piece right here, to where that you're going to add some color to it and form like a type of design. But with this design right here, is it going to be used for, I guess, that the original question and then the original answer would be is to where that with this design right here, is it supposed to be which could represent maybe the season spring, or is it supposed to represent 4 o'clock, or any particular bird name, or anything about or the bird? The bird flew to the west or flew to the east, and the bird it's like a lot of times anybody say if you're going to be seeing any kind of bird around, that you're like warned toward it with the birds, though, with most of them, that they're going to be flying and then landing, and for that they're going to be doing, and if anything about what's called the birdhouse. But with the birds, though, is to where that any source of mobile phone that you do have, that you're going to be using it, just to be able to talk, text, and use data or something like that, and to make phone calls with. And with the phones here, that let's just say that if anybody were to go ahead and buy a design, and then they may say something like that they want to have this mobile phone. So let's just say that if there was any source of marketing that was going on, and if anybody will warrant to where that with this person that you're going to be connecting with, and let's just say that if you're going to be connecting with them on mobile, that they may ask you to where, okay, you have your mobile phone, right? And do you have this? You also have access to the account, from your desktop or from your laptop. and we will be able to stay connected that way. And then anything about the use of the tools, and then the documentations, and let's just say that if you have about if you had to update a different account to where that you would need to make sure that you had the most recent updated software, and just to be able to use this app, or just to be able to sign in. So most of us will maybe remember to where that back whenever they were taking the math test, that they put their name on the top of the test, not just because that, well, that was just so that way that they would be recognized, but there's something about putting their name on the test to where that they say is that really that just like anybody probably say that if you're going to bring your own calculator to class, that they would recommend you to write your name on the back in case if it gets lost or stolen or something like that. And a lot of the, and I know that a lot of the internet security nowadays, I don't know if, like I say, you have right here is the designers right here, but nowadays that, a lot of the stuff that we see about what you call it for text, for codes and any source of codes and text and data, that, for like security purposes. So just to clarify, if that's you that's actually touching the controls. So basically that with anything about designing work, that it doesn't give you that ability, just give you that ability to where you can go ahead and draw freehand, but that just so they can clarify that your identity as well. And one way I want to picture is to where that other than the challenge that drawing freehand is also is to where that you want to see how far you'll be able to go if you actually draw something freehand. It may be a little bit of a disappointment, or it may be pretty impressive. And so if anybody were to say that if you're going to be connecting with somebody else, have right here this example right here of me right here, and with me right here that I could be what you call just looking at the work that I'm working on, and somebody else that found my work, and then they were connected with me, and like I say, yeah, the original answers would be as to where that that they see a few of the answers that are wrong and some of them that are correct, but they were just written in the wrong spot. But how many of us are going to think as to where that is our mobile phones going to be used as like any source of study guide? And I know most of us would have mobile phones, but really that the specific training that we would have is to where that if you had to order anything related to school, from your phone, if you had to shop, by mobile, and they have what you call is to where if it's going to be the same account or just a few things that may work a little bit differently. So I'm talking about that something in particular, such as if anybody is familiar with like internet sites like besides like Amazon or eBay, or maybe a few other websites and what we call third-party sites. And if anybody will want to tour that, what would be the original answer for anybody who asks us like about third-party and as well as commercial sites? So it basically means is tour that anything about direct access, that the information, the order. The order page or anything related to any source of direct sites that you go to, that they are sponsored by another site. So even though if you have access to this information from your phone, it may be bringing you up to another amp or another window, and sometimes that's when a pop-up blocker comes. But still, that if we would actually do the study about this, is to where anything about what you know about how the software program, and then how well you know the tools pretty much also. So this right here is my Photoshop work right here, and talk about for like mobile phones. And so what will we discover necessarily is like to where you may not have gone to school just to learn all this stuff. And how many of us have gone to school just to be able to learn about this 3G and 4G networking, and then as well as the iPhone 5 or iPhone 6. So now you may have seen them already, but a few of us that have seen those phones that the ones with the wireless phones. And when we were first introduced to the first cell phone, I would probably say I was first introduced to the cell phone. That was probably back in early 1996. and it was one of those car phones. But I can remember that people had them in their automobiles until that they went to wireless. But you have these cell phones here, and you're likely say is to where I can tell anybody here that the first thing that they may mention is to where that you're not old enough to have one. Back then, it was like that. Besides the license, that you had to be a certain age just to be able to get one of these mobile phones, and so that they had it to where that. With any phones that quite a few of them that were pretty expensive, but like if we're going to be talking about the Galaxy or maybe that the Apple phones or any other type of phone models that we are talking about sometimes they're expensive, but besides the coupons and the codes and as well as anything about sales that go on. So talking about is to where that quite a few people that may have them just because that maybe if they get a job and then it's like the original answer for that would be is to where that just the right moment or anything about whenever you place an order and if you got a coupon code or if you don't have a coupon code or if you're going to be in there within a specific time and there will be a sale going on. But if anybody will want to where that how many of us are going to maybe say is to where that they don't mind paying $15 a week just to be able to have a phone and so it's like that with this $15 a week, especially with this mobile phone here, about how many of let's just say that if one of our jobs would be is to where that talk to this person, talk to the person about is to where that how the phone works and then for what it does, and then with this phone right here, that they show you the phone if there's any sort of marketing that's required based on what a designer does, and let's just say that the first thing that they may say is toward the screensaver. The screensaver that it allows you to make the picture bigger and smaller, and it allows you to change the color and add special effects. And another thing that I want to also talk about is about pixels, though. And what are pixels basically? And I can go and zoom in a little bit right here, but you can kind of see that a little bit right here on the phone. But these like little square, type square pattern for what it takes just to be able to make this picture look visible. And with this example right here, this phone right here, that we may think about is to where that I guess if we want to call these different layers or different puzzle pieces, but this right here would be example right here of the bird that I showed from 3, from Original Answers 3 is to where I added in some colors right here, and then I even masked the picture just to be able to show it as to where if it was available on the phone there. But if we're talking about a number of pixels, and if we're talking about maybe up to about 120, maybe about more than that, about over 1,000 pixels that it's used just to be able to expand like just a. And so some online storage, some websites that if the pixel is going to be too low, and basically that means is toward that the picture, the image is going to be smaller. The JPEG, or if it's the GIF file, it's going to be a little bit smaller. To display, and if you go ahead and make the pixel quality, especially the pixel resolution a little bit bigger, and then you would be able to expand it, just to be able to enlarge the photo also. So I guess this whole purpose about the digital technology and in graphical type work in technology is basically this to where that just because that a number of things that you can do, a number of actions and display ways of how you can present the work on using a screen. And then I guess we could probably say is to where it's basically that using a certain kind, using a microchip and using a screen and using electronic service is basically is like for what we see right here. So I know that like with anybody that if you had a picture of a phone, but I might decide to just draw this just to be creative, but still though that with talk about for Original Answers, that if anybody were to say that the very first thing that they want to go ahead and try to experience when they first get a phone is not really about just making a phone calls, but then give them some experience, ordering something from the store. And let's just say if it's going to be anything related to maybe bird seed, or maybe that anything for the outdoors or springtime or something like that, that they want to go ahead and shop online or by mobile, and they pick out whatever they want and purchase their orders that way. I know that if anybody will want to word it, that what is it like to be able to to purchase anything online or even by mobile, and a number of things that you can use using a mobile device. And if we want to look at that, is toward it, it's basically that it's like I usually say the hobby room, but maybe if I can use another word, a phrase, a definition, another one of could also be is to where that it's basically that your source of carrier, that something that you have with you on an everyday basis, and then that you're able to do that on this mobile phone, that it gives you that quality to where that it's like for how we describe it, name one thing that you can't do on mobile devices nowadays. I might say, yeah, if you can change the oil using your phone, or maybe if you can do the laundry or the dishes using your phone. But like with anybody, that how many of us have tried that, to where that the phone may be waterproof. I'm like, you're going to maybe be doing your dishes at the same time while you're talking to somebody, and in case the phone falls into the hot soapy water, and then what are you going to do? So it seems like that so far as damage protection, but let's just say that the phone was waterproof, and then there may be some phone models out there that are waterproof, but still though, that using the stores. And so let's just say if the designer would say is that for anything that they want to go ahead and work with, anything that they want to put up for marketing, that they would maybe say is to where that if they want to go ahead and put anything up for marketing, about what it comes with. It's like this package here, it comes with this, or it comes with that. It comes with a frame, or maybe it comes with about 3 different choices right here, and you could even change the border, or that anything about for whenever you do buy one of these designs, that it would also come with the artist's history, or maybe about anything that's related to where that if you're not very happy with the size, that you can change it back, you can change the size, or something more related to that that if you want to, maybe that it'd be so, if anybody were to say that they would want to buy you a work, that what does it all include, that whenever they pay a certain amount for it. And like with anybody, that if you're going to be getting into marketing, especially, that they may say is to where that how much would it be, like, well, if we could all agree it's $15 a week, but let's say if you're going to be going into the store, and let's just say that they say is toward it, it's going to be $22.50. It's going to be $22.50 altogether for this work right here, just to download it off the internet, and then also as well as to have it available on your phone, and even have it available on your desktop. And so it seems like it goes by the studies to where that really, what is the difference between this and that, and why is it getting more expensive? But $22.50, and that includes the hardback copy, and as well as the copy for the mobile device. But for anything that we get into anything about designing work, is we design something, and then somebody else that says that they want to have this same thing available for their smartphone, available for their mobile phone. And let's just say that if they want to go ahead and maybe purchase another order, and then maybe that anything like anybody will probably say is to where, especially shipping and handling. Shipping and handling, I guess, is not always going to be free, but let's just say that it's sometimes. That I guess I don't know if that's really supposed to be any source of secret, as to where that it's like for shipping and handling, that's really for anything related to original answers, that if anybody would wonder to word it about the cost of shipping and handling, that why is it that for the most part it costs $15.99 just to be able to ship it anywhere, like anywhere in the country, that wherever it goes, that usually it's $15.99 for what they usually charge for shipping and handling, especially something that's going to weigh about maybe 17 ounces. So if we're talking about up to 2 or 3 pounds of how much it weighs, for the the delivery, that especially for most electronics, but still that talk about for marketing tools or anything like that. But talk about for the amps and as well as the pixels. But talk about right here for mobile phones. This right here is an example right here of a one that I went ahead and drew right here, and whenever we look at this, that let's just say that if you go into any source of phone, a project that I was working on in class from a while back was related to Napoleon phones, and that was basically talking about phones that whenever a phone that needs cleaning or needs repairs or something like that, that they any sort source of services based on cleaning phones. And if anybody will worry toward it, you didn't think that a phone could get dirty. I'm like, well, what is this cleaning source? But anything, and I know, like with anybody, that if they come to that point to where that if there's not enough memory on your phone, and then if there's like a place maybe around town where you can go to and say is to where that they got a lot of files on their phone, and let's just say that if they can maybe get like a backup floppy disk drive or something like that, something like a little card, or maybe that maybe there's something even online to where you can go and transfer your data to a mobile account. And I know they may have something like that besides Google Store, Google Drive. They got like SkyDrive, and they got that other source of drives, online drives, where they give you storage capacity. But still though, that sometimes 8 gigabytes of memory is just not enough. And if anybody will warrant, or any designer that may warrant that, back whenever you first got the phone here, that the first thing that you saw I say is we need something with at least 4 gigabytes or so of memory, or maybe up to 2 gigabytes of memory. And then now you may want to go and upgrade to something with at least 15, or maybe with 100 gigabytes or so of memory. And if you're going to be using your phone a lot to take pictures and videos, or maybe to share photos, and like with anybody, if you're going to be sharing anything, that could add up to a lot of memory too. And so that is why, like anybody probably say, especially with the Adobe Creative Cloud, it gives you that capability to where you could be able to access those files. But one thing I do want to also mention about is to where that I guess it goes by the question, is to where like a multiple choice question is that for most of the questions, for original answers, is that are we paying more for a lot of stuff just to have access to them at home? Besides, what would you discover, is to where the question goes by, is to where that really, are we paying more for what we want, just to have access to it at home? And is that really like a yes and no type answer, to where the original answer would be, is to where it depends on really about what you want and what you want to do. But let's just say if the answer would be, is to where the best suggestion would be, is to where that for about how confident, like for how well that know it for what you want, and then as well as that for anything that for what you're trying to do. And let's just say that with anybody that they were using something at work, and then now it's like that they would like to take it home with them, or anything related to getting some practice at home or something like that. And so it's like, if anybody were to probably say, if you're going to be working a job, and then it's like, think about it, to where I say, first, you may have to buy it from the company first. Before the company or business, you may have to buy it from them before you can take it home with you, or something like, you can go and rent it. You can go ahead and rent it for a couple of days and be able to take it home with you. But still, that like with anybody, that it seems like it's to where that are you paying more just to be able to have it at home, or are you paying less compared to having it there at your office there at work? And some people that may, some of us that may even say that we may answer to where it feels a lot like that you're paying more for it just to have access to it at home. And it feels like that. It's like, no, it's not $15 a week, it's $25 a week. Why does it feel like $25 a week just to have access to it at home? I don't understand that. So you are paying, yeah, you would be paying about maybe you would be maybe paying 10% more for it just to have access to it at home compared to having access for it, for business reasons or for company reasons or some sort, any source of job. So if anybody were to say is to where if you're paying $25 a week just to have access to it at home, and just that if you are, like say that for students, or that if it's anything related to business reasons or some sort, that it seems like it's almost always that you're not really paying an equal amount just to have access to it at home. You are paying a little bit more just to have access to it at home. And how many of us are going to think as to where that, does that seem fair to everybody? Like, well, like you have access to it at home. Like, yeah, you don't have to drive, 4 miles to get to your office, or, maybe anything about what you call, if you're going to have access to it at home, then the chances are that you're going to be what you call, you're not going to be going by maybe the license agreement, or maybe you're not even going to be going by the terms of use of the policy reasons. That you're going to probably say is to where it's mine, I can do whatever I want with it. But so about for remote access, yeah, by the time you learn the basics about remote access, you keep handy, the mobile access to keep handy. So let's just say if you learn something based on the mobile access, and then you're like, say, it's to where that, yeah, I was at work the other day. Like, no, you weren't. You were on your mobile phone. Yeah, but I was signed on. Well, that don't count. So how many of us are going to say is to where even though if your job is to get on the Adobe Creative Cloud and then to be signed on, just to be able to have access to some of the online material, even from your mobile phone, where were you at whenever you were doing that? Oh, well, I was at home. I was actually, I was working on something. I was dusting the furniture, or I was doing the dishes, or I was cooking dinner while I was working. And if anybody were to say that, if you had that access, that tool, that capability to where you can work at home using your phone, then the chances are that we're talking about maybe some documentations or some data files or something. But if anything, that what you could be doing on your mobile phone mainly is going to be by email. And if anybody were to say is to where that's really the best way I know about it, is to where that if part of your job was to communicate by email, that you would be sending emails to people, and you would be able to attach that. You would be able to use the attachment tool just to be able to attach a few examples of your work using email. But using like the Paint tool and the Discover, like anything about the Type tool or any other tool like that, the Paint tool, I'm like, yeah, that do we have access to it from our mobile phones? And the chances are that maybe not from the desktop program, but from like the mobile app, that if you download the program to your mobile phone, then you would maybe have access to like the pencil tool. But I had not researched too much of it, but still though, that anything about what you call mobile use, that are we paying more for it just to have access to it at home? Seems like it's going to be what you call that question. And you say for anything about what we want to rephrase, and if anybody will want to, rephrase that. But anyway, but talking about for original answers of anything for what we would want to discover, and then as well as this right here will be like a little discussion right here, to where that anything that like any responses as well. So let's say this multiple choice were to be like, is to where they ask you about maybe 40 questions, and then it's like, yeah, what the original answers would be during that time, and like click one or two, or that after the test, and then yeah, we would like to buy about 20 minutes more of your time. Can you please, yeah, anything that you may answer on the test, especially that it was not that was an answer that they haven't heard before. So can you explain to them more details? And like with anybody that they may say is to where if you're going to be filling out an online survey or answering any other sorts of questions, and a few answers that you may give to them as to where really, could we really answer that to where is there really any such thing as what you call the mystery answer? Mystery answer, the type of answer to where nobody has heard that response before, so they're going to maybe ask you to explain a little bit more about this mystery answer. And it's like, say, for Access Anywhere. Okay, what do you mean access anywhere? Well, I mean is to where you don't have to be in your office to just have access to it, or in the classroom. And, well, and what? Like, well, and where else? How else does it work? Like, could you have access to it? Even in the bathroom, or maybe in the basement. I'm like, if you're going to be anywhere else around the house, or maybe somewhere, in the yard or somewhere like that. Maybe in your car, and like, if anybody will probably say that they would like to know is that they would have access to it anywhere, like remote access. They would probably say that that they want to make sure that they have access to it in the car, because they likely say is to where if it's not going to be at the company, then chances are it's going to be either at the car or maybe at home. But still, though, for access anywhere, why is it that this answer right here seems to be something that maybe that people are going to probably say is to where, remote access. The first thing that they were first announced to it was what you call program access only. But people may say is to where, boo, that's not the answer I want, or controls of your own. Like, no, that's not the answer I want, at least not right now. Mobile access keep handy. Oh, okay. Well, what about this mobile access keep handy and access anywhere? So basically that, yeah, if anybody will probably say is to where that, if you wanted a cold drink out of the refrigerator, would you have access to that anywhere? But anyway, coffee or anything like that, hot coffee, or maybe a cup of hot tea or anything like that. But on your hand, that like with anybody that if I say for original answers would be is for like remote access, that any questions that they may give you 30 seconds just to be able to post any source of response, and it's like anybody who want to rephrase that also, and so just think about it as to where going from original answers like for 1 and 100 to 100, 100,000 to 100,000 equals the pixels, as well as for mobile phone use, as well as for files allowance, and then for what we want to share with our classmates. And just think about it as to where, really, how many times have we failed the test? And it's like, say, yeah, if you failed the test 5 times, just think about it as to where that, have you even tried as to where that you'll do some studying even from a mobile phone, but mobile device or any sort of electronic tab, having access to your own account. But still, though, that having that capability to where you can actually do your studies and do happen to work at home, especially, and really that if it seems like it's going to be about 10% more just to have access to it at home. And how many of us are going to think that way? Really, I would like to know, is the original answer to that question to where, are we all paid at home? We would like to have an answer soon. Like, well, the original answer as of right now is going to be as toward equally. But still, though, that that when we do have access to this at home, that we have more time with it. If you didn't know that, you have more time with it. And so that's one of the reasons why it may cost a little bit more to you, to us, because you have a little bit more time with it. And whenever you have more time with it, that the chances are that, you're just going to have to set this to where if it's going to be $25 a week just to be able to pay for it, just to have access to it at home, compared to being at work and having access to it. And you could be paying about maybe $15 a week just to have access to that, even though it may be about the same similar thing. So if anybody were to say that you may have met this person back whenever you were young, working the math right here, and like say, yeah, do you have to be 18 or older to do that? And then just think about, do you have to have access to on your mobile phone to do that? And on your hand too, that back whenever I was a kid, that I used to enjoy putting coins into a piggy bank that I used to have. And just think about it as to where that anything related to what you call remote access, that for what source of piggy bank can we use online? And you're like, well, and the electronic transfer. Try electronic transfer. That's what it's called. Electronic transfer, to where it's automatically that you program, that you schedule a transfer from your account to go to the Adobe account. And so yeah, that if you want to look at this transfer status, think about this as like a transfer, electronic transfer, to where that the terms of services, to where that this is how it's managed, is to where to transfer that amount to the account for the Adobe Creative Cloud, and for how it's used also. So if anybody were wondering to where that, can you do that from a mobile phone? Can you do that from a tablet? And if anybody were to say, what would your original answer would be, as to where, is it all this all about do it yourself, or is it all about as to where that just a basic understanding about how it all works? But other than that, talking about for original answers, that if anybody were to probably say that what do you feel like whenever you learn something new? And if anybody were to say that is that supposed to be you right there counting the money? And yeah, that it's like that's supposed to be me. But what about whenever we raise the prices? If you're going to be paying 10% more, then the chances are that you'll be having to reconfigure the math work. And but let's just say that on averages, to where altogether, including the taxes and fees, that you would be paying about maybe $100 a week, altogether. So if it's $15, $100 a month, $100 a month, and then $15 a week, so altogether, $25 a week just to have access to it at home, including the service charge and stuff, and altogether that would be $100 a month. And does that seem fair to everybody? Back whenever you were a kid, you always wondered as to where that what does $100 look like? And even on at the ice cream stand, most of us can remember that getting an ice cream, buying an ice cream was about maybe $8.50, just to be able to get an ice cream. Or maybe back in those days, I think it was like $4.50 for an ice cream or a cone or something like that. Whenever you were in math class, you earned points for what you were doing just for great progress. And then now it's like, for like original answers, it's like original answers would be as toward a basic study about what you remember about you from the test, and then for anything that you want to rephrase, is to where about being a designer, is to where that everybody knows a little bit more about what the designer does, and so now they want to go ahead and have that where that knowing about a little bit about the artist area for what he does as a designer. And then now it's like other people also want to just learn a little bit more about that. It's like, yeah, that really, who would want to buy anything for what you do, huh? But really, for original answer would be as to that for anybody who wants to just kind of keep something for remembrance, and maybe to just kind of keep something for like a keepsake, if it's supposed to be what you call a charm, or anything what you call precious or something like that. Anything that's really too valuable stuff. But anyway, but it's not just what you call just a few puzzles and a few pieces and a few layers and a few colors. It's something about us to where showing you important means about being a designer, as to where what this can be used to be able to make a difference, and just to honor anybody that you do the designing, and then I just kind of explain a little bit more about this is what I came up with. And and I'm sure anybody probably say whenever you first introduced to the mobile amp that you probably get used to how it works, and chances are that people are going to more likely be doing it more often. They're going to be downloading it, and they're going to be researching more often. And just think about it, as to where that by the time that they get the basic training about how it works. But anyway, besides the eStore, and as well as understanding about multiple choice and multiplication, as well as solving problems, and then for great progress, I talk about for original answers. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for watching, and have a great day, and enjoy learning, and talk about for mobile phones, for original answers 4. But other than that, it's like for enjoy the understanding about how online shopping works, and as well as for fair share, for fair paid allowance, using the Creative Cloud and other online services as well. But thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.